A decision in the heated debate over water rights in East Maui is expected as early as today. On one side, taro farmers and subsistence users are fighting for cultural rights, while employees at the state's last sugar mill are fighting for their livelihood and jobs in a clearly slowed economy.
Because it seems like they have taken away all the water, and we still do need the water.
Can you imagine what will happen if 800 or more added to the unemployment burden?
The State Commission on Water Resource Management is reviewing recommendations on flow standards at 19 East Maui streams. A full day of testimony concluded yesterday, but not without incident. The meeting was called into recess when Kahu Charles Ko'uluwehi Maxwell Sr. demanded time to fully express his thoughts on the issue.
It took over 150 years for this water to be stolen. I cannot do it in 2 minutes. I'm going to have to ask for time, and I'm going to continue.
No, Mr. Maxwell, sorry, I cannot, because there are so many people in this room who want to speak.
Call the governor and ask her.
No, I cannot, Uncle Charlie, I cannot. I'm
sorry.
It's not fair to the people.
It is not fair to us as Native Hawaiian people to have only 2 minutes to express ourselves.
Uncle.
Now, either you're going to give me some more minutes, or I'm going to stay here.
All right, I'm going to call a recess.
I ain't going to leave.
Maxwell was among a list of more than 100 people who signed up to speak before the commission. Testimony resumed well into the evening, with those on both sides of the issue airing their concerns. Activist Walter Riddy Jr. of Molokai also expressed frustration over the approach that he said focused on science instead of culture.
It's really interesting because you got sugar on one hand that wants to use all the water, and on the other side you have now the Hawaiians saying that they need the water for taro, they need lots of water for taro. And haloa has become an issue, and when we talk about the taro, we're not just talking about a plant, like sugar is just a plant, whereas haloa is part of our culture. It's an integral part of our culture. It tells us who we are, it's part of our family, it has roots, it has substance. So you have these two conflicting fights going on for the use of the water. So the Hawaiian side of the story isn't being told, and that's what's worrying me.
Attorney Alan Murakami with the Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation spoke on behalf of the group Namoku Aupuni o Ko'olauhui, which filed the original petition to amend interim in-stream flow standards at a total of 27 East Maui streams. A decision on 8 of those streams was made last year, with the remaining waterways being the focus of current discussion.
We went into this case at filing the petitions for the 27 streams, knowing that people wanted not only to farm taro, but to be able to follow a cultural lifestyle that is guaranteed under the Constitution.
The burden is wholly upon the diverter to show that there is no harm to others who have rights to that water.
That few people actually understood before we filed the petition, but now that they understand that, I mean, I think is very strong sentiment to support this restoration.
Honopo resident and lifelong taro farmer Beatrice Kepani Kekahuna was among 3 residents listed on the original petition who are fighting not only for water rights, but for the continuance of a lifestyle that some argue is being threatened by continued water diversions.
All my life, I remember my dad was raising taro until he passed away. But before he passed away, somehow, as he was getting older, the water was taken away, little at a time. There were more than once where the supervisor would come over to him and ask him to sell his property. Well, my father thought about it, and he thought about it. Now that's it, no. So another time, another year, they went to ask him to sell his property. He thought about it again. He said, no. He said, I don't want to sell it. This property is going to stay for my children and their children.
Kekahuna's niece and fellow Honopo resident Lynn Scott said that although restorations were made to a portion of the Honopo stream last year, her family continues to struggle in maintaining a consistent source of water.
This year in Honopo Valley, we did see a little bit of an increase because of the rains. That has helped to produce more water in the streams. But during the summers, when the big so-called drought, we were the last ones to get water. Instead of keeping up our in-stream flow standard at 1.29 million gallons a day, we were down so bad that the water in the stream couldn't even reach our OI. to get water irrigation to our Loi, which also meant that we didn't get water to our homes. So domestic-wise, we were out of luck then too. So the flow of the stream continuously is what's really neat for our taro farmers.
Meantime, workers and executives with Hawaiian Commercial and Sugar Company expressed the need for maintaining stream flows to their crops in central Maui. HCNS General Manager Chris Benjamin was among those who testified.
The adoption of this recommendation is absolutely critical to the survival of HCNS. And contrary to some of the earlier discussion, this does not represent no stream restoration. The recommendation is part of an integrated look at the East Maui system, which includes 27 streams. The Commission acknowledged last year the need to accelerate the review of 8 of those streams because they were the streams that were most important for Native Hawaiian and environmental purposes. And decisions were made on those streams that returned over 12 million gallons of water a day to those streams. So this recommendation has to be viewed in totality with the other 8 streams. And in that respect, we believe that it is a very balanced and appropriate recommendation. Water is absolutely critical to HCNS's recovery. The reason that we are struggling right now is because of drought. It is because of the lack of water. We do have great hope and great promise for a recovery, but the decision that we face and that our board of directors will make in January depends almost entirely or in great part on the outlook for water and the availability of water, because water is what drives sugar yields, which drives the ability to recover in our business.
Others in the agricultural industry also voiced support for staff recommendations to keep flows at a status quo in all but one of 19 remaining streams. Sandra Kunimoto, the chair of the Department of Agriculture, and Warren Watanabe, the executive director of the County Farm Bureau, noted the importance of the island's agricultural industry.
The state shall conserve and protect agricultural lands, promote diversified agriculture, increase agricultural self-sufficiency, and assure the availability of agriculturally suitable lands. As you probably know, the central part of this island has been declared important agricultural lands by the Land Use Commission. Over 27,000 acres were designated such on June 29, 2009.
We have many challenges. Adding another one, not enough water will surely close additional operations. The farmers and ranchers I speak of depend on agriculture for their living. They have nothing else. Maui has gone through a decade of droughts. Recently, Maui again qualified for federal drought assistance. That is how bad it is. So when some ask what we will do if water were reduced 25 or 50%, the answer is we go out.
In addition to the benefits of keeping Maui green, Michael Ribao, the manager of the power supply at Maui Electric Company, spoke of the indirect benefits of sugar production on the island's clean energy supply.
MECO is vitally interested in the continued viability of HCNS because HCNS has long been a firm, reliable power producer providing up to 16 megawatts of electricity on Maui and also approximately 7% of the total net generation on the island of Maui. Continued power production by HCNS from the burning of bagasse is an important part of MECO's plan to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels.
With many families and businesses feeling the impact of a slowed economy, the potential impacts of lost water to HCNS and the rippling impact on its workforce were among the areas of concern. Willie Kennison, Maui Division Director of the ILWU Local 142, comments.
Maui cannot afford to have any more unemployment. The state is already facing unprecedented increases in unemployment insurance costs. Can you imagine what will happen if 800 or more added to the unemployment burden? When I started working 29 years ago, we had 13 sugar plantations. Today, we have only 1.
The State Commission on Water Resource Management reconvenes today for deliberations and possible rendering of a decision. Keeping you up to date on MauiNow.com, I'm Wendy Osher.